Welcome everybody, especially the organizers of this conference. We are Nigerians and we at home. We welcome all of you. Whatever country you came from, you are at home. This is the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. And you are all, well, this is the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We welcome you and get dressed in an African way, in a Nigerian way. We are all welcome. We also want to, as they set up this thing, want to appreciate those who are here and those who are presenting papers too. Those of us in the academics, I've seen from the list of panelists and the list of those who are, there are a good number of people from the academics. And I want to welcome us too, that it will not just be theoretical this time around, but we will also practicalize it in whatever we do. So as you listen to this, thank God that this conference is meant to stimulate us, to steer us to brainstorm on what we should actually do about people among us who are living with disability. Are they invisible? Are the activities invisible, like Grace has told us? Then we will brainstorm and see the way forward. So the topic is visible but invisible, towards a new perspective in disabilities in Africa. As a way of introduction, there are many people with disabilities in Africa. Thank God that the current statistics was provided by Grace. You can see that my own is an old one, but the basic fact remains that the actual number is unascertained, even from what we have. There are people in local villages, people in rural areas. I don't know from my village how many of these people are inside, but they are there in the village. But they are there in there, and you discover that the family tend to cover them, to conceal them, so they are actually hidden. You don't know. So this is what we have from the researchers. But did they go to every village? Did they know every person? No, I don't think they visited my village. They are the most excluded from education and work life and remain invisible, particularly when we talk about the intellectually impaired. However, despite this gloomy picture that we have given, the most independent African countries have been making attempts towards improving the life of people with disability so that it can end discrimination and stigmatization. They have made constitutional provision by enacting laws, yet little has been achieved. I think most of what we have is on paper. Governments have them on paper. Not that they are not doing it, they are doing it, but there are still obstacles to caring and taking care of persons with disability. If you talk of Africa, our problems would include the cultural beliefs and superstition, like Grace has tried to tell us concerning disability, low level of education, awareness, understanding. Grace has talked about that too. So we have quite a number of things, but I think our most problematic situation is the political will of the political leaders to make a change. To actually, we have them, if they give speeches, if they give everything, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Even the budget they make is beautiful. But when you come to the implementation, what do you get? New approaches are required to change the situation. Now, persons with disability, it has been defined, and I think the first speaker did that one very well. But in the context of where we are, I would want to say there are individuals who have either one or a combination of the following: either physical, sensory, or intellectual impairments that poses difficulties in performing such functions as seeing, talking, walking, learning, sitting, and other motor activities, plus intellectual activities. Areas of disabilities that we often know about, they have been classified. We have persons with visual impairment, persons with hearing impairment, persons with physical impairment, persons also with intellectual impairments, and even speech impairments. These are the broad categories, and as we go about, we know that all these levels of disability present themselves in degrees. That is, you can have people who have mild situations, moderate situations, or you have people who have severe level of it, even profound level. I have met people who have profound level of disability. That one, you keep on taking care of them for the rest of their life. They can do nothing for themselves. So intellectual disability, those of us want to make sure that Grace has talked about invisibility of activities, but I am going to talk about invisibility of persons who have disabilities but yet are invisible. Now, and this refers mainly to people with intellectual disabilities. And it is seen as persons with low IQ. Anyway, in our time today, the issue of a single intelligence in terms of IQ is greatly debated. And modern theories, like theories of multiple intelligence, would just want us to discard the idea of IQ and then begin to think of other things. We are not here to discuss that one. We are here to discuss why we are here. But here, for our purpose, it is persons with low IQ or difficulty in processing information in one or more intellectual areas of the brain. If we say that the brain is divided into faculties, and each of these is responsible for a particular activity, and when a particular processing area has difficulty, then we have that problem. Then we also, the issue of stigmatization. Well, persons with disability are stigmatized, that's true. But most especially, it is stigmatization is a feeling of a sense of inadequacy as a result of a sense of guilt emanating from being associated with a negative behavior or aversive incident. For example, if somebody is raped, that could be a stigma. That is an aversive incident. But this one is the way you are, and it will the way you are either born or you find yourself and there's nothing you can do about it, and yet people are talking about you, pointing their hands about you. It includes labeling or name calling can result to stigmatization. So much of stigmatization. I don't want to talk about new approaches. I want to talk about effective approaches. How do we actually handle these? Some of these old ways are good. I don't see anything bad with them. But how effective? How can we make them more effective? Inclusive education. Inclusive education is a situation where the persons with disability and persons without disability either work or school together in the same environment. That is, you bring everybody in, and it is one of the surest way of removing stigmatization. That these persons with disability see themselves as equal or the same, or they are in those places. Or we can have our questions. Those of us in academics have our questions. But it is a new measure in that the UN has even recognized it, and in the SDG 4, if we are familiar with the SDGs that we have, the SDG number 4 talks about inclusive education, so that you bring in everybody to be educated. So the approaches that we will have in order that we may effectively do our contain this stigmatization, discrimination, and all others is effective inclusive education. Then adopting technology in the education of people with, the issue is technology. In whatever area, sorry, I will soon run out. In whatever area it is, technology in learning, technology in the way they work. The other time somebody posted somebody who was blind, but with the new technology you could see, you put something on. So it is a hope for, it is hope. The more we begin to invent many things for people to be more technologically to help them. So all of us in education key into technology, learn the technology, invent things for people with disability. I believe that one day we will discover something that nobody is stigmatized or is left out. Then advocacy, thank God for Grace, she has talked about evidence-based advocacy. But in Africa it works. So when you use community leaders and religious leaders, go to them with the evidences, and when you personally contact the people that matter in government, combine it with traditional rulers. If you carry one religious leader or traditional ruler along to go and talk to government, they will listen to you. And then go there with evidence. I know that in Nigeria it works. Then implementing the laws on persons with disability. Unfortunately, in the main paper which I've written, there's a catalogue of persons, of countries across Africa who have in paper, either in their constitution, made provision for persons with disability, or who have enacted laws or decrees or bills for persons with disability, but the implementation is the problem. So we are advertising for this. And then practical ways for the intellectually disabled, practical ways. I like the old methods, step by step, concrete. My time is up, but I want to say that I'm sorry for taking your time, that when we look at at practical approaches. Like any intervention, and the Montessori approach for practical life education. If we start education at that level, once they get it, you know, they go forward with it. And I think when we implement these approaches, I believe that whatever we are thinking about for people with disabilities can be strong. Let's try to make education effective. Education is the panacea, is the solution to changing all things and empowerment. Thank you.